Shore at Virginia. And of course, the Buffalo Bills wrapping up their regular season with a win at Highmark Stadium. Let's bring in Nate, and he's going to get us up to speed.
Always a pleasure, guys. Yep,
Hi,
Bills took care of business yesterday, 35-23, like you said, at Highmark Stadium. Lock up the 2 seed for the playoffs. Offense looked pretty good. Defense had a little bit of a tough time here and there, but got some more so timely turnovers to prevent the Patriots' offense from scoring more than they already did.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give maybe an unpopular take. Rooting for the Bills for sure, but man, I don't know. I just don't see Super Bowl champions. Like, let's take last night's game, for example, or yesterday afternoon's game. They did beat the Patriots, ended up by 2 scores, but they needed 2 touchdown returns to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, and now the Patriots aren't going to the playoffs. Then you go back and look at the past few weeks too. They beat the Jets by 8. Jets haven't won a game in a long time. The Dolphins, they really needed a miracle to beat the Dolphins, and the Dolphins, that was in the middle of a 6-game losing streak for Miami. They finally got a win to sneak into the playoffs yesterday by beating the Jets. So I don't know. I think they're obviously in the mix, but I had felt that this might be the year that we headed into the postseason and thought, man, they can't lose. And I don't feel that way. I think that Cincinnati and Kansas City may even both be favored over the Bills to come out of the AFC. And, I look at a team like San Francisco 49ers. They look like a Super Bowl contender.
Woo!
Yeah, for sure.
Kansas City looks like a Super Bowl contender. Cincinnati, after their horrible start, has certainly righted the ship and seemed like a Super Bowl contender. And the Bills obviously are in the mix, but I don't know. I don't know, because if it does, if it doesn't happen this year, at least get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's an unpopular take, I'm sure, but how do you feel about your team?
I don't necessarily disagree with you too much. The one part that's just a huge loss was losing Von Miller. I think if they had Von Miller at this point in the playoffs, I just think it's going to be so hard. Like you mentioned with Cincinnati and Kansas City, playing those teams in the playoffs, if they have to meet them, going to get those guys is really going to be really challenging. Greg Russo has stepped up a lot in this last part of the season for the Bills, but without Von Miller, it's just really hard, having his experience on the field.
That's why they went out and got him, to get to the Super Bowl.
That's why they paid him $120 million, right? I mean, it's just really unfortunate that they lost him to an ACL injury a few weeks ago. That's going to really play pivotal. Micah Hyde on the secondary too, losing him early in the year, that was challenging. Hamlin, of course. It's just really challenging with injuries, especially on the Bills defense, but they got some timely turnovers yesterday. So if that's going to be something that they hang their head on, giving up a lot of yards here and there, but finding ways to bend but not break, I think that could go a long way, but that's really challenging.
The other thing that didn't happen last year, that hopefully they can figure out, or Josh Allen can figure out heading into the postseason here, are the red zone turnovers.
Yeah, he's got 5 red zone interceptions this year. By my calculations, he didn't have any in his career before this year.
It's crazy.
And now he's leading the league in red zone interceptions.
And that obviously makes it hard to win games, because you're about to score points. You're supposed to at least get 3 points out of that situation. And Josh Allen is great at finding ways to get in the end zone. This year he's turning it over, and actually more as of late. So I don't know. Gotta love this team though, right?
Yeah,
always exciting.
You're right though. It was such a huge problem yesterday, because that was at the end of the half. You can at least get 3 points. You really can build off that momentum going into the break and into the locker room. But throwing that interception, that's almost a backbreaker. Like you said, got 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns by Naeem, 2-time Hines was really
awesome.
big in the game. Yeah, I mean, but it's just those red zone turnovers are just killer.
So you look at Kansas City, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, they're not doing those things.
Right. They're doing the ring around the rosy in the red zone.
Yeah, which was pretty cool, I suppose. But I don't know. Football's the NFL season's so long, and it ebbs and flows, and hopefully the Bills now are kind of going into more of a flow than an ebb heading into the playoffs. But Kansas City's got the bye. Part of that was because they canceled that game with Cincinnati, although the Bills were not looking like they were going to win that game early. It was been a long game, but Cincinnati looked pretty dominant early in that game. And of course, Kansas City now, at least the Bills won't have to go to Kansas City, but Yeah, I don't know. It's NFL playoffs are here. Anything else about the seedings and everything that came out? I mean, it was amazing to see Aaron Rodgers lose last night to Detroit in Lambeau Field with the playoffs on the line.
Yeah, that was shocking. That's not something I saw happening. It's really cool to see the Seahawks get in. Geno Smith having a career year, making the Pro Bowl, bringing his team to the playoffs. They weren't supposed to be good this year.
Was
Trade
it
away their
completions
quarterback.
or passing yards he set this franchise record for?
Oh, I'm
He
not
set
sure.
a passing franchise
passing
record,
yards.
which was, it made you think to yourself, geez, Russell Wilson was there all those years.
Mm-hmm.
Now Geno Smith comes in and breaks his record. Same coach, same system.
Right.
Geno Smith definitely underrated. But remember back, Paul, in the Pinstripe Bowl when Syracuse took out Geno Smith?
I do.
Yeah.
I do, yes. Also, it is regular season. He broke Russell Wilson's record, so can confirm.
Yeah,
that
for
you
passing
guys.
yards or
Passing yards in a season. Yep.
yeah. I mean, pretty impressive.
Good job, Paul.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah,
But
that was
do
cool when
assist.
they beat him in the Pinstripe Bowl when Geno was on West Virginia. I remember that.
Yeah, that felt good. Doug Marrone was the coach, and
Yep.
it was like Syracuse fans really needed something at that time, and that win went a long way. And other than that, really, I'm going to miss NFL Red Zone on Sundays now that the regular season's over. I watch Red Zone pretty much every week. I don't usually watch individual games except for Sunday night and Monday night. I like to have it on the Red Zone channel. And, kind of another season of football in the books, which is a sign of spring too, Sid.
Yes. Yeah.
It's interesting. DirecTV users will have to say goodbye to Red Zone. That's going to be exclusively on YouTube TV next year.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't think they've announced it yet, but all signs point towards Scott Hansen doing that next year for YouTube.
Yeah, I hope so because he does a great
Yeah,
job.
Scott does a nice job. I was able to watch a little bit of it in the afternoon, and I know Paul watches every week. So it's going to be interesting next year with DirecTV, what direction they go if they simulcast
But I have
that.
YouTube TV. That's I don't have
Yeah,
it.
you should be fine. Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of people have switched over to YouTube TV for a lot. so
Yeah,
I
no
think that'll be
cable
great.
TV for me.
I need to do that.
YouTube TV and about 8 other services.
Now that I just learned that, I'm sure my husband probably knows that by now, but he'll be wanting to switch to YouTube TV real quick then. I lose him for football every Sunday. Well, I'd say every Monday, Thursday, Sunday, Saturday sometimes for college, and I will slowly get him back a little bit now. I am sad though because I got a lot more into the football season, I think, this year for NFL than I have ever. So I'm a little sad to see it go, but not really.
Well, that's one reason why the NFL's experienced so much growth, I think, as females over the past
sure.
several years. Fantasy football had a lot to do with that too, but
We
also
love that money.
it's the type of thing that it's exciting. It's digestible for someone who maybe is not a hardcore sports fan because you just got to watch your team once a week.
There's been a lot of excitement this year, I feel like, in NFL. Maybe that happens every year, but things that I caught that I feel like there's been some upsets and some fun games to watch for sure.
It seems like in the past 4 or 5 years that every game every week it just gets crazy.
Yeah, there's so much parity in the NFL.
Back and forth the last 2 minutes of every game.
Right.
And you're right about the parity.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL is so much of a case of community too. You every week, you're watching, whether you're watching the Bills or the 49ers or any other team, you gather with your friends and family.
Oh, yep.
For some families in a house, you eat really good food, maybe it's chicken wing dip, maybe or whatever it may be. So there's just so much sense of community.
Yeah, then you're
everyone getting
texting with
together.
your other friends
That
who are
too,
fans, so it really does bring people together.
Social media.
It's certainly America's pastime now.
Yes, for sure. The NFL's king. We know that.
Yeah, it is, and yeah, it's that. So now we mentioned the parity. So now that we're going to the playoffs, does that mean like a team like Seattle or Miami has a chance to make a run because of the parity? Because I don't think so.
Right.
I think it comes down to those teams that you think are going to be there in the end are going to be there in the end. So an interesting game would be Dallas this week at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Dallas not look too good yesterday against the Commanders. Yeah. But going back to that Miami take, playing the Bills, it's going to be very interesting to see if Tua Tagovailoa can play or not. He had his third concussion of the season a few weeks ago. So there are other, Teddy Bridgewater got hurt a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Skylar Thompson's a little banged up too. So the line sits at about 10.5 right now. The Bills are favored by. So that's Vegas thinking that Skylar Thompson will start for the Dolphins again.
Right.
So it's interesting. We'll see that in the next couple of days, whether if Tua is able to go. But all signs point this so far to Skylar
And it
Thompson
is amazing
or Teddy Bridgewater
to see it be that big of a spread when they just played 3 weeks ago and the Bills at home won by 3, I think.
Yeah, it's a quarterback. You got Tua.
Yeah.
Tua in that game. It makes a huge difference.
Yep, absolutely.
So Sunday, 1:00 at Highmark Stadium, Bills Dolphins.
Playoff football game Saturday and Sunday,
Playoffs.
and one on Monday.
And Monday. Yeah,
That would
Oh,
be
man,
the
that's a
Cowboys
lot.
game. I think it's on Monday
I think so. Super
Dallas
wildcard weekend.
at Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Bucks. So yeah,
This always cracks me up a little bit, though. The last thing is, like, when we get into playoff time, like, TJ, we all know he's such a diehard football fan, 49ers all the way. But to hear him last night, you know, like, screaming at the TV for Lions because he knows that it would help us. You know, we want to play a team that's not as good. I think
he might just not want to see his division rival make the playoffs in
Well,
Seattle,
exact-
right?
Or, yeah, I don't know. He was talking about, like, this person would be better than this person to play, and he gets so into it. And I bet there's tons of people out there that are, like, all of a sudden a fan for the day to try and help their team in the long run.
Well, TJ should start acting like a fan of a Super Bowl favorite, and they don't care who they play. They just go out there and beat them if you're that quality of a team. And I think San Francisco is, and they really break the mold of needing that superstar quarterback to win in this league, which every team seems to need that, but San Francisco doesn't because they just are so dominant everywhere else. So they just need that game manager, that Phil Simms type of guy.
Yeah, very well coached team.
Yep. So
If you ask TJ, it's because he's wore the same jersey for the last 8 games. That's why we're on the winning streak, you know.
Ooh,
That's
might not want to
superstitious.
sit next to him on the couch. I get a little smelly.
Yeah, I don't know if he's washing them or not either, so I'll stay away.